That's right now.
Yep, and that is right now.
We're all back. I guess want to have a little bit of discussion as to things that your team thought were good about the hearing, things you think could be improved upon, differences from hearings that are happening in your area, and ways in which you think you all can improve in some manner, a specific way that your team could improve hearings in your judicial department. And so anyone want to volunteer to start off that and report back?
I'll start out. That way I can't say that so-and-so took my answer.
Oh, okay, well.
Something that we especially appreciated in the hearing was the very specific tasks that Judge Fair gave every single entity. We talked about how it's one thing to have, kind of a conceptual idea of what everyone's goal is when they leave court, but it's quite another thing to have a specific, attainable checklist that you know exactly what you're to do. And I like that she did it for every single entity, because it just shows that we're all a team and we all have a job and we all can contribute to the success of each individual case. So we loved that. We talked for a minute about whether or not it would be realistic in the initial affidavits for CPS workers to include maybe a summary paragraph that would expressly identify the immediate danger and touch on some of these words like what's observable, what's the immediacy, and what's the severity, just to make sure it would help everyone focus on that. It helps the CPS worker focus on, this is exactly why this kid is being removed. It gives the parents that paragraph to look at, to point to. It gives the court some help. So that was one thing that we felt could be an improvement. And I guess the other thing I'll add that, we talked about what makes it a successful hearing. And somebody in our group said it great, said, when your clients leave there and they know the legalities of the process and they understand exactly what is expected of them, that's a successful hearing. And I thought that was really well said. So I wanted to repeat that too.
Excellent. Our group also liked the very specific tasks that were outlined, that they knew when the next hearing was and what the expectation was of them between now and then. So anyone else want to volunteer, or I can call on folks?
Our group was about the same. This is Deb, and I was in Judge Harada's group, and I think actually it was very similar. And I wanted to mention, in connection with yesterday when we were discussing DIMS, that when Judge Harada gives a task list to someone who's in the pilot court, that task sheet can be uploaded to DIMS as well. So that's just another, resource for checking in. The downside that Judge Harada in particular disliked is that she doesn't get to see the parents in person currently, with doing everything, virtually. That was the main drawback.
Yes, the pandemic has certainly challenged all of our lives, that's for sure, and is a huge problem with regard to this work.
Yeah.
So how about Missoula? What are you thinking? Any feedback?
I think Judge Halligan had to go to court. She had to do her job. So I will jump in here. I'm
Great.
the regional administrator out of the Region 5 area in Missoula County. Our discussion circulated through, so yesterday's discussion carried over a bit into today as well, and just working on kind of an organizational and communication plan for all of us, which includes trying to meet more frequently on new cases, so that we do have a better understanding of reasons for removal, establishing a solid plan for communication and information sharing, and jumpstarting these cases, that not only getting kids home, but getting a case plan in place that we all understand and can work through. And in doing so, had some additional conversation today about how to kind of systemize the information sharing with the immediate danger assessments, our protection plans, safety plans, and how to address conditions for return. So definitely kind of dug into all the benefits of that, which we see many, but then also kind of how we collaborate with that with the court. We can all certainly independently hold our team meetings, but through maybe intervention conferences or more assistance with the court system, to give our parents more of a voice and an opportunity to share, their perspective on the safety plans, on treatment planning, what have you. Maybe the intervention conference forum is a better place to do that. However, we're kind of identifying that that practice has gotten less consistent among all of our judges in Missoula County. So how we could maybe amp up those resources. And then also, talked about just means to engage our parents in a way that's, perhaps just more pleasant, but also kind of digestible. So being able to, slow the process down a little bit and really focus on those conditions for return and the safety plan aspects first before we start hounding folks on all the treatment plan things, and certainly don't want to cause delays in getting those treatment plans ordered. But, first and foremost, everybody's concern is I want my kids home if they have in fact been removed. So, so how to address that piece first and make it and make all of that process far more transparent and really dedicating time to the communication and understanding of what's going on there. So trying to look through our notes here just to make sure that's kind of where we're going. And then just really kind of want to praise our group just for the buy-in and participation, because it's really, what are we going to do next in terms of next steps? And it's, continuing this conversation and being able to get together even outside of this forum to really move these things along. So we chatted about that as well, and have already started an email group that's been sharing information to some conversations. So we're on the roll.
So Judge Parker, anyone from Judge Parker's group have some insights or observations they'd like to share?
I can go unless, I don't know, April or John, did you want to take the baton on this one?
Go right ahead.
Oh, well, so just discussed this, and I'd have to say a lot of our conversations about the pre-hearing conferences were so specific to the 8th Judicial District and our high case volumes. I don't know if that's worth everyone's time for me to go into that, but that's the tail wagging the dog of every issue. We've got conflict counsel from our town deployed as far east as Glasgow. And in that context, with the high case volumes and how under-lawyered we are really throughout, you can't even call it the golden triangle. It's like the golden rectangle that's one third of the whole state called the Highline. But it's just simply an extra hour a week for one hearing isn't going to happen, let alone, I might have 20 or 30 youth unit care hearings a week in my court. We're not going to do a 15-minute pre-hearing on all of those. However, there might be a local adaptation that's worth trying. And I know Judge Best is on here too. So with that.
Yeah, we discussed that a little bit because I sat in on Judge Best's group as well. And of course, we discussed a little bit. Pre-hearing conferences are coming to Great Falls for those of you who are not there. And that's what Judge Parker's talking about. And of course, the volume of cases is concerning. Billings had similar type issues, and we figured out some ways to work through it, and we think we may be able to help you all do that. Of course, the pre-hearing conferences would be only for new cases. We don't have them each time before we have every type of hearing and things like that. But I would agree, John, that we'll be having that some of these things are not affecting the others because they're not starting pre-hearing conferences at this point, and that we'll be talking about with your group.
I think one positive note, though, I think this conversation prompted an issue about how any handful of cases could be routed into a voluntary agreement sooner, and that could help caseload. So there's useful points and worthy goals, so we're not
Right.
giving up. So
Yeah.
that's it from my group. Thanks.
People up in the Flathead, I guess Judge Wilson or Judge Eddie's group have anything to add? They're doing some things a little faster than we are, so hearing sooner.
Well, I'll go first so that Judge Eddie can do the recap or post-cap. I thought what was outstanding about our group conversation was that everyone participated in a very meaningful way. And our discussion really turned on two main points. And what is, how can we make better use of these pre-hearing conferences to make immediate decisions about crafting a safety plan and safe return of the children sooner rather than later. And secondly, how can we use stipulations by the parents, not to particular findings like whether the children are abused or neglected or youths in need of care, but rather focusing the stipulation on the level and duration of department involvement so as to prevent the parties' positions from hardening around a judge's finding, which if it's a finding that the children are youths in need of care, may mean that the parent's position hardens around their resentment for the department's action. And any finding by the court that would suggest that the department ought to take a different approach might look like to the parents like vindication that there was never any problem to begin with. I would invite Angie Rolando to add other points that she sees from the discussion because she really led it.
Thank you, Judge. I think he covered that really well, and just how well we're seeing a lot of success in our pre-hearing conferences and engagement with families. The sooner we're able to do that and really focus in on, between yesterday's conversation and today, really focusing in on what visitation needs to look like for families, but also the natural supports for families and how we can meet conditions for return and put children back in the home when it's safe to do so. I think we're starting to see a lot of those impacts between what Judge Wilson and Eddie are doing through this pilot project, and our commitment to carry that out through all of our cases.
All right, thank you. I know we haven't heard from some areas, Butte and maybe Glendive and whatnot. Anything to add to our discussion today? I know we're kind of getting to the end of the day and we getting ready to wrap things up, but any comments, concerns, things that anyone wanted to bring up? A group that is really ready to be done for the day, perhaps. I do want to thank all of you for coming and participating. I guess I also want to thank the Casey family programs, Kelly Sims and her team who have helped with all the Zoom breakouts and running things, and has been just incredibly helpful. To give some of you a little background, Casey Family Programs has provided the court improvement plan in the department a lot of assistance in working through the performance improvement plan, providing resources for pre-hearing conferences, technical support for Zoom meetings. Kelly is works for Casey Family Programs and is our regional representative. And so I guess I just wanted to express our extreme gratitude for all the help and the hours of time, Kelly, that you and your group have put in and will be continuing to put in with regard to some of the projects that are coming up. before we map out some next steps for us, Marty, any wrap up that you want to add from the department?
No, I just really want to thank everyone for taking the time over the past 2 days. And just super excited about where child welfare can head in the near future with us all working together. So I see a lot of comments in the chat about wanting a blue book or field guide. I was hoping we would get that information gathered during our breakouts, but since we did not, if you could send an email to your regional administrator in your region, we'll make sure that everybody gets that material. And thank you.
So we wanted to discuss a little bit of next steps. And of course, we started this conference with saying, you know, the department right now is charged with accomplishing quite a bit of change and meeting federal standards that historically we haven't met, and to fulfill their performance improvement plan. Many of the tasks that they will be doing, the judicial branch has committed to working with them to try to better educate all of the judicial players and to actively collaborate in moving our child welfare system forward and looking at best practices and looking at what we're doing and should we change things, and if so, how, and looking for those improvements. I started this conference with saying, you know, those of you that were invited here were identified as folks that are people that are problem solvers, that are people who look at something and don't just say, well, no, we can't figure out how to do that, we'll just not do it. That really are willing to kind of look at some new projects, take on, challenge themselves in the role they're having to make our system better. And I guess over the last couple of days, if we have misidentified folks and really you're kind of thinking, gee, I'm not so into this collaboration thing or whatever, you know, maybe send us an email on that. But I think my discussions with most of you is that you're really excited to move forward. We are planning a next step, say Moving the Dial Part 2. We would like to reconvene again in the fashion we're doing now in February. We have looked at February 24th and 25th as the dates we would like to do that. And what we are asking from each of your teams is that, I'm asking that the judges set a meeting with each of your teams that you've met in breakout sessions within the next couple of weeks, and that you develop an action plan of a couple things that you think your court can do better between now and the time we reconvene in February, and identify personal goals or tasks that each individual, prosecutors, parents council, guardian ad litem, et cetera, judge, can do to improve their own work, and while also challenging and holding the others accountable to make the changes and the improvements that we started discussing and that you identify in your meeting in the next couple of weeks. We would like you to meet, let us know what you think those goals are, and in a defined way. And then prior to our reconvening in February, have another meeting so your team can discuss how you think you have accomplished the goal you set out to do and where you are, so we can use that as a starting place for our next convening. So anyway, I guess I also want to have a big shout out to the folks in the court improvement program. Julie Burke is our administrator. She has worked very hard on putting together this convening, and also tirelessly on organizing the court improvement program in Montana. Tom Belting is with our Office of Court Administration and oversees it, and I guess I would like to thank him. And I know I've already gotten a lot of the judges that are here today have participated in various conferences and planning meetings to look at our system and where we can make improvements, and I want to thank them as well. Is there anything from our team CIP group that I forgot to tell everyone before we bid everyone adieu for the day?
I have one thing. Thank you. And I want to thank Justice Gustafson for all of her hard work. You've been tireless yourself, and you spend a whole lot of time doing CIP things instead of knowing that you have a real job. So thank you. And to Kelly and Jamie, AC has also been really helpful with the registration, and I really appreciate that. I just wanted to say, mention something about the CLE credit. So I'm going to be in charge of coordinating that. So for you attorneys, if you do want CLE credit, you'll need to email me and tell me how many hours of the 4.5 hours that are offered that you actually participated. And I need your state bar number, and then I have to submit all of that information to the CLE Commission. And I don't know how long it takes, just send me an email, but I'd like to get that wrapped up fairly soon. So thank you.
And I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Justice Gustafson. I just wanted to echo Julie's comment that we absolutely need to acknowledge your role, Justice Gustafson, and your conviction and the action that followed your conviction in bringing us together. This would not have happened without your leadership. So I just wanted to thank you as well. And don't forget, we are doing the survey after, so please hang on for a couple of minutes to finish the survey.
So with that, I'll thank everyone again. I look forward to talking with you all. If you have some ideas that you need to share with me with regard to further training, things that we have issues on, I'm always excited to get those. Please email me. And we are going to keep trying to move the dial in this very important work. So take a minute or two to fill out our survey or our poll at the end here, and then have a great rest of your week and a nice Thanksgiving break coming up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.